I made $72,000 in one day dropshipping necklaces I found from AliExpress. So let's gather around the campfire here. Everyone, make sure you have your s'mores. Perfect, because this story doesn't have any grand lessons about life or entrepreneurship. It's just a retelling of my first ever dropshipping brand, Umero Sports. Now, before this video starts, I finally launched my first Discord no limit e-commerce with my boy Everest, who is the best TikTok ad media buyer in the game. And together, we're going to provide you with the latest TikTok ad strategies, pixel hacks, and glitches to scale your brands. And as you see in the chat down below, we do website reviews, ad account reviews, exclusive product drops, and so much more value and strategies for the cost of testing one product. So click the link in the description and get in this Discord before the link expires. Now, if you're not an Umero Sports fanatic like I was, Umero Sports was basically a men's jewelry brand that eventually pivoted to me selling men's accessories to athletes across the US, like myself. I promoted my store primarily using organic and influencer marketing because that was all I could afford, and it eventually took 3 years to hit 72K in a day. So I started this brand 4 years ago when I was a junior in high school at 16 years old, and it mainly came in a point in my life where I was at rock bottom. There was no other way to put it. I had been expelled from my previous school for a variety of different reasons. I was suspended multiple times. My freshman year of school, I left because I had to move. So I had bounced around 3 different high schools. I had no friends. I had no one I knew. And really, I did not like where I was going. Because when I was expelled my sophomore year, there's just a certain stigma around kids that are expelled. You know, you're just destined to be McDonald's workers. You're destined to be in jail. You're not supposed to be kids that actually accomplish anything in life. And I knew that. And I was a smart kid. I took AP classes. I took honors classes, but I felt deep down I was not applying myself. And literally during the school year or during summer, I had no friends. I wasn't hanging out with anyone. I was just playing video games 8 to 12 hours a day. As soon as I got back home, all I was doing was playing FIFA, Call of Duty. I was sometimes filming my stuff. I really thought the only way I was going to make it out and be successful was trying to be a FIFA YouTuber. I thought I was entertaining enough, but boy, when I look back at those videos, EAD Gaming 7, it's tragic to watch. So when 2018 finally arrived, I made a New Year's resolution to myself that I would start a business. I looked up a bunch of different things online, Amazon FBA, affiliate marketing, but the thing where I saw the most people that looked like me, teenagers who weren't that smart, who weren't that motivated, weren't that hardworking, actually making a good amount of money, was dropshipping. Because I saw people like Tanner Plains that were making tons of money doing this thing that I'd never even heard of. And I was like, oh my God, I think I may have found my calling. And it was insane to me because I was obsessed from day one. I remember Tanner had a series where he was taking a new store from $0 to $1,000 a day and documenting everything. And I could not stop watching that series. There was another guy, Sebastian something, Esposada, I don't know. But I literally could not stop watching YouTube videos, doing research on it, reading every single article in the book. It was a 10-hour-a-day grind. It had totally replaced video games for me. I was that obsessed with making this work. Now, I'll try to do a cutaway to this, but this was my high school journal where every single day during class, instead of taking notes, I would write down new ideas for ads, new ideas for finding products. All this stuff was going through my head nonstop. Now, after doing all my research, everyone said to sell what you know. And as an athlete in high school who did multiple sports, I wanted to do sports equipment. So as you can see right here on my notes, January 26, 2018, I had all these different names lined up. Thunderstrike Athletics, Black Thunder Sports, Max Out Sports, and then eventually I wanted to do Latin names because I noticed that sounded pretty cool, like Extus, Odious, and then I eventually settled on Umero Sports. And as you can see, as the months progressed, every single day I would write down different meme pages that I was going to be working with, what hours they were going to be posting, what were the results like, how much was I spending. It's actually insane to see how organized I was back then. Like, look at this, today's lineup. We're going to be posting on these basketball pages. We're going to be posting on these baseball pages. And I had to keep track of every single dollar because it mattered to me. I was starting on a budget of around $1,000, and literally, if I had one bad play with an influencer that did not make me sales, it would hurt. So I did have the idea to start the store on January 1st, but it took me a lot of time to get the logo made, to get the name ready, and especially to build the website. I mean, this thing right here, it might not look the most professional, but it took me weeks to build a store and source all the products, and literally anything that was a sports equipment product, I would add to my store, even if it was incredibly useless, like a ball pump. And that's something I see on a lot of beginner stores. They just add any product they think could work eventually. It doesn't even matter what it is. It was just complete madness with no structure. Now, when I was originally starting, my way of marketing was to create an Instagram account, and I would follow all these people that were following House of Highlights and all these big sports pages because I really didn't want to spend any money on advertising. So I'd follow these people, I would post different sports highlights from the day, and then occasionally I would throw in an actual product that I was selling as a little bit of a sales pitch because I knew that I wouldn't get great engagement. But every day, I mean, my thumb would be hurting. I was following. I would be messaging all the people that followed back and saying, hey, I got this store, make sure to check it out. I'm selling these cool bracelets, these cool jewelry, and it didn't really work very well, but I was just so freaking determined to get my first sale. So I started the store on January 25th, 2018, and after the first week, I remember this day so vividly. I was driving, my parents actually were driving me to soccer practice. It was super late at night, about like 8 p.m., and I'm just in the car refreshing my mobile app for Shopify. I'm seeing there's website visitors. We had 26 sessions, so basically we would have 1 session to 3 every single hour. And I remember seeing this person in the store. They clicked add to cart, they clicked checkout, and it was so close because as you can see, I had 3 add to carts in the first week, and who knows what would have happened if I did not get a sale in the first week. I'm somebody that does like instant gratification, especially back then. I was looking for instant results, making some money. I put a lot of time, about a month's worth of effort into this, but finally on February 2nd at around 8 p.m., I got my first ever sale. And I remember it was right before I got out of the car to practice my soccer team. I was on cloud 9 because that realization finally hit that I can sell products, market them at a higher price, and people will actually buy from a store that I made. And on this sale, I probably made maybe $15. But to me, I felt like I was a millionaire. I really did. I know it sounds so freaking cliche. I honestly thought it was illegal. So after this, I eventually got the motivation to start creating some real ads and then partnering with all these influencer pages with the money that I was making from sales. So that's the notes that you saw. And I would love to show you some of these first ads because they are so freaking trash. So this right here is the first ever ad I created, selling basketball shoes that looked horrible. I mean, I did not know how to crop things from backgrounds. Limited time only, 15% off more on our products. Start the path to success today. I mean, that's some great call to actions going on. Was 65, now 45. I don't even know if that's 15% off. Who knows? And then I also had custom knee pads. I did make a few sales on these, but you can see how bad the Photoshop is. They have little white specks. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was using Canva. I was slapping my logo. This was just a template background. It looks so freaking ugly, but everyone has to start from somewhere. So I eventually realized I'm not really a graphic designer, so I should probably just find the best photos of my product and maybe just add a little bit of text. Like this right here, this chain actually sold pretty decently for me. 20% off, okay, pretty simple. This ran as a Facebook ad also and made some sales, but nothing really that profitable. In fact, I would say I did test around 20 different products all at once, bracelets, necklaces, and the reality was after 3 months of doing this, I lost all of my budget. But it's all about perspective and having patience. So I decided to eat shit and apply to work at Whole Foods as a cashier, and I got accepted. So for the next 2 months, I was stacking my money up and getting my funny down. So it's really all about the grind and working from 7 to 2 a.m. When you're working, people are watching Netflix. For most people, when they test 3 or 4 products, they do give up. And I have noticed it a lot. But for me, man, I was making some sales. Like I was break even on some products. I know I was losing overall and the house was winning, but I knew there was potential here. If I could just find the right product, the right offer, or I was maybe missing some information, I could eventually get there. So I decided the only thing that will move the needle was redesigning my logo, because everyone knows a good logo makes $1 million brand. And then I had a graphic designer make a cool tiger tee. I mean, this is $1 million design. I don't care if you're freaking Kanye West with designing skills. This is what's hot right now. And while I was losing money and getting my ass kicked, Shopify was like, you know what, kid? I'm going to roundhouse kick you to the face and give you a Shopify payment hold. So this was my first ever payment hold, this email right here. As you can see, I had 1 chargeback, but because I only had 50 orders, my chargeback ratio is 2%. So immediately they held my money, 25% of it, for the next 90 days. Now, I would say that golden piece of information actually came from Noah Brewer because he was talking about the pioneer method at this time. That was his big thing, where you go directly onto AliExpress and you find products that don't have a lot of orders, but they're in the niche you're in. You test them before everyone else, and therefore you can be the pioneer that scales it. So I did that with men's baseball necklaces, and eventually I found this really cool design, which was 2 baseball bats. It was parallel to make a cross, and this ended up being my first winning dropshipping product. Now, before I made that switch, the first 4 months of my store really wasn't that bad. Like I ended up finishing March with $4,000. May, we did nearly 10,000. So you can see there was some progress going on. Like I wasn't just making 3, 4, 5 sales. And then I was like, all right, I'm about to go all in on this during the summer. My conversion rate was definitely not the greatest, but you could tell I was close to finding that winner. And on July 6th is when I started testing that baseball bat necklace. And as you can see, the first day, 100 add to carts, 10% add to cart ratio on this product. So I'm like, oh my God, has it finally happened? So we go to July 7th, I start contacting more pages, 1,200 sessions. People are really interested in this product. 10% add to cart ratio again, and we're still making some good money. So on July 8th, I'm like, all right, I've made a couple $100. I'm going to go big today. I'm going to reach out to some of the biggest baseball pages. I'm going to spend $200. That was a fortune to me at the time. I was literally like, oh my God, if this doesn't work, I'm going to literally have to go into retirement. I'm going to have to bankrupt myself, file it, and look what happened. I mean, this is absolutely insane. So for July 8th, I had my first $1,000 day. I went big, and your boy paid off. I mean, geez Louise. Sometimes you just have to take risks and just see what happens. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, and this time I was 17 years old, you have to be able to take risks. That is the main difference between you and the employee that takes the stable, consistent salary. You have to be able to gamble pretty much everything, sometimes half your bank account. And it eventually worked. And I remember when I hit $1,000 a day, I was so freaking psyched. And when I was hitting these numbers, my first thought is, I'm about to be a rich douchebag influencer flexer, which is perfect because at the time I was getting really obsessed with the sneakerhead market. I was getting into StockX, and I decided to splash the cash, pretty much all of my profits on that one day, on this pair of shoes. I mean, I will admit the box is pretty cool, but these shoes cost me $500. I think these are the What the LeBrons. I thought they were so cool. If you can't already tell, I love colors. Colors are everything to me. I want shoes that stand out, that make the whole entire outfit. I know for a lot of you, this is probably super duper ugly, but I was like, $500, I make that every single day. Your boy can splash that cash. And I think I bought at least like 10 pairs of shoes. And then eventually I just realized, oh my God, I'm a freaking idiot. And I was so focused on buying shoes that the store was starting to die down, because every single day I would have to reach out to new influencers and work with them. And as you can see, it went down to $200 a day. And at this time, I was also manually fulfilling every single order. So I was getting around 20 to 30 orders a day, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're manually fulfilling, which means you need to go into AliExpress, CJ Dropshipping, whatever you're using, type in the address of every single customer, put in their name, put in all the details, make sure it's exactly right. And with some people, the address doesn't even show up, so you have to look up the address in a new tab. I think I spent at least an hour or two a day just fulfilling orders manually. And then I had to be the customer support team. I was getting people constantly asking me, hey, where's my order? Where's my order? Because I was doing, I think, 2 to 4 week shipping times. And I was also sourcing the product from ghetto ass DH Gate, and there was no connections. There was no Oberlo where I could just transfer all the information over. I had to manually type everything. It was such a pain in the ass, and I was really starting to burn out fast because all I was doing, I wasn't getting a chance to do the ads anymore. It was just, I'm a customer support rep, I'm filling orders. It was not enjoyable at all for me. And then the final nail in the coffin for me was that with this winning product I was advertising all over Instagram, everyone could see it. One of my competitors, All in Faith, sent me a fake email saying I was infringing upon their patent. It's some sort of tactic. And I think for a few of you, you've probably seen your competitors try to do this so that you won't sell the product. And it worked for me. I no longer sell the product. I didn't want to get sued. I didn't want to infringe upon anyone's work. And I was like, oh shit, I can't sell this product anymore. What the hell am I going to do next? So I realized I was a little bit in over my head and I needed to get a mentor. I just had so many questions and I was like, how do I actually scale this business? Because I still see so many people making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this guy right here, Jay, he was living the life. He was one of these dropshipping YouTubers where I was like, okay, I think he could definitely teach me a few things. I mean, he's got the cars. He's living in luxury. He's at Topgolf. I mean, look at this dude. He's flexing and balling out. So I reached out to this guy and I paid him about $100 for 1 month of mentorship. And as a side note, if you think you're going to get a good mentor who's actually going to give you time for just $100, you are sorely mistaken. Any good mentor is going to charge at least $2,000 a month minimum for their time. But I was naive. I actually reached out to a bunch of mentors and everyone was at $1,000 a month. And I was like, oh, this guy, he's much more affordable. Let me go with him. So I pay this guy. He ends up giving me his WhatsApp. And then on our first mentorship call, he doesn't show up. So I'm like, all right, and I guess he just forgot, whatever. He's a busy dude. I say, hey, can we reschedule for the next day? And he says, yeah, bro, let's do it. Next day, he doesn't show up. I give it a few days. I wait a week. I'm like, hey man, we still haven't had our first call. I'm working on my website. I want to promote it. What should we do? He's like, all right, let's hop on a call. He doesn't show up on the call. So I realized, holy shit, this guy's leading me on and he's scamming me for $100, which at the time for me was still a lot of money. I was like, holy shit, I can't lose this $100. My dad's going to kill me. My mom, my parents, they're going to disown me. They're not going to want me to do dropshipping, which to be fair, they did not want me to be dropshipping. They were clearly seeing that this was taking a toll on me. It was taking all of my time. And they were like, Ethan, we just want you to go to college. So I ended up pestering him for a bit and I got half of my money back, which was a big L. I got scammed by my first mentor. So I was like, all right, I don't know what to do here. I think I need to hire a team. So I eventually hired a virtual assistant for my customer support, and that did help things out. And then I needed a graphic designer to help me out with different post ideas for my Instagram. And this ended up being a Canadian kid. He was one of my followers. He was about 14 years old. He said if I paid him $1, I would get 20 different designs. And I'm like, this is the best deal of the year. I'm feeling extra Jewish and cheap today. Let's do it. And the kid actually came up with a good idea where he's like, Ethan, if you send me $100, I will do 4,000 designs. And I'm like, this is going to be it. This kid is going to be the ticket to me scaling this to 6 figures. So I pay him the $100 on PayPal. He gets me 1 or 2 designs, and then he takes all the money and blocks me on everything. So I was like, you know what? I've had Shopify payment holds. My first mentor scammed me. My second employee scams me. This isn't really that fun, is what I was starting to notice. And I really needed to get a new winning product, or I was very close to giving up. So I ended up testing a bunch of different products, including baseball sunglasses. And I remember in the ad, I started it with having a clip from Bob Menery. He had a clip where he was commentating about an outfielder who couldn't see a fly ball and it dropped, and it looked very hilarious. He was just roasting the crap out of this guy. And I added 5 seconds after the video where I was promoting my sunglasses, being like, hey, this guy's an idiot. Buy our baseball sunglasses. It was actually a pretty good selling ad. I remember I was running it on Facebook, but after a day or two, I noticed that in the comments section, everyone was tagging Bob Menery, who at the time, I think had like 100,000 or 200,000 followers, and he actually saw the ad. He DM'd me. I'm just some like 17-year-old loser trying to sell these $20 sunglasses, and he was pissed at me.
What does Bob want?
He is Bob, eager for fun. He wears a smile. Everybody run.
And this guy was one of my idols. He was finally popping off, getting like 1 million views a video. So to have a guy like this DMing me personally and saying like, dude, you need to cut your shit, I will sue you, I was freaked out. So I eventually stopped selling that product. I didn't run those ads anymore. But I did find something that actually worked. So we go back to our trusty, handy dandy website. It was the Bomb Squad chain. This chain right here ended up being our next big winner. And I needed this, guys. If I did not have this winning product, I still have one here today. And it basically doubles as it earns. So it's a bullet. It's got the cross. Again, this is great for baseball players. And yeah, if you unscrew it, this one's so tight because I've had it for 3 years. You can put like liquid into it. You can put whatever you want. But again, the Christian necklaces were really starting to work, especially with sports. It was with that cross necklace first. Then we had this one that was like a Hail Mary on it. But this stuff, I mean, thank the Lord, because I did get to scale this product also to $1,000 a day. And then eventually the money I made from this product scaled into multiple other products. This was the main picture. Honestly, I was just looking for jewelry that had good pictures already because I knew I couldn't sell worth a damn. I could not make an ad by myself. So I'm like, all right, good photos, they make good ads. So yeah, that's really all you need when you're selling jewelry. So I would say if you suck at marketing, definitely get into jewelry because it's just something that when you look at the photos, if it's cool, people are going to buy. It's the same thing with clothing as well. So after 9 months, we did about 40,000, and I would say my profit margin from that was maybe 5 to 10%. It really wasn't great because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to market. I wasn't even running Facebook ads at the time. I wasn't doing any retargeting. I didn't know how to do lookalikes. I didn't have any email marketing set up, which is just basics that if you are starting your first store, make sure you learn how to set it up properly. You need to have email marketing, and I have so many videos that explain how to do back-end stuff that I just didn't frankly know, and if I did, I'm sure I would have had double the revenue. Now this video is already getting long enough, but basically for the next couple of years, I ended up scaling this brand a little bit further, and after a while, I got an offer from one of our competitors, which was another Christian sports jewelry brand. Now, it wasn't the one that was saying I was infringing upon their copyright, because honestly, F those people. I hate that tactic. It's so dirty and I was so naive. But yeah, this other brand reached out with 2 different representatives. We had a bunch of different meetings. I had to come up with my own business plan, which is basically a 30-page document where you list out all of your revenue throughout the years and what your financial projections are, what your current team is, how does it look, what are you doing to try to grow it. I mean, it's all this stuff about the store and how you're planning to take it to the next level, or what you forecast for it, and maybe what investments you need to grow it. I had over 12,000 customers accumulated over 3 years. I was doing pretty decent, but I was sort of losing interest. I'm very ADD. The business wasn't that exciting to me anymore after scaling it. So eventually they gave me an offer of $72,000. Now, I didn't get this number wired to me all at once. They actually sent it over 5 different payments. If they send it all at once, I would have definitely taken a screenshot, had like a giant check or whatever, but that's not how it happened, unfortunately. So they did send it over, and basically their plan with my brand was to take my customer list, use it for retargeting, for email automations, for lookalike campaigns for their Facebook ads, and basically just essentially get rid of me as a competitor. And I will admit, I was very heartbroken to see my Instagram account get deleted, and it had like 20,000 followers that I worked super hard for, and then seeing my store get disappeared. And they did eventually, after a year, give me access to it, which is why I'm showing it to you now. But it did suck that they just only wanted the customer list. But I mean, hey, that's business. I had something that was valuable to them with my customer list, and I'm sure they made a lot more money back when they were using it for retargeting and lookalikes. So yeah, it was overall, I think, a really positive experience. This is what gave me the money and budget to start other brands and eventually start my YouTube channel and start spreading my knowledge to all of you guys. So this was really just more of a story about how I got into it and the obstacles I had to overcome, but it was a lot of stuff. It does take time. So if you're someone who hasn't started your first store, I would just say, take action and start your store now. You're not going to get it right. There's always going to be problems no matter what. And if you think just watching a bunch of videos and having all the information in the world is going to prevent problems from happening, you're going to be duly mistaken. So I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe down below.